The plot in this game is that Peach gets captured once again and must be saved by Mario. This is the first time both Mario and Luigi can be played together in a side-scroller Super Mario Bros.-esque game. This allows up to 4 players with the use of 2 generic Toads. I think we could easily have had more exciting characters, but that doesn't really matter. It's also a side-scroller, which is a throwback to the classics, which is a recent trend some of the Mario games have been taking. Controls on these games feel a lot more like the NES because you hold the controller sideways and use the D-pad 1 and 2. 1 simulates B, while 2 simulates A. The D-pad, of course, controls movement. The A button can also bubble up, which is a new feature compared to the NES version, of course, which helps if you're playing with characters that are more amateur or if you need to take a bathroom break or something. Another NES-like control is when you're near a door, you have to press up, much like the NES versions, where you'll be in a castle and they'll be like, press up on the door to go through it. So that's really neat, I think, and that's just makes it feel a lot more like the NES, which is a nice throwback to the old players who played the older games. A casual gamer might try to use A and bubble up once in a while, not on purpose, but that might happen on accident, which is one problem with the A being bubble up. And I would once in a while be like trying to go through a door and I'd accidentally click A instinctively instead of up, just because the Wii, you'd usually use that. So there are also some minor control gimmicks, like with the motion control, but I won't really go into that. This game has a really fun atmosphere and shows the use of endless, vibrant colors that are nice to stare at through your journey. It also is complemented by some of the best graphics on the Wii. Yoshi makes a few brief appearances at the start of the game, but doesn't show up later, and there's nothing really special to him in this game. He doesn't have any special powers like in the new Super Mario U or anything, so that's kind of unfortunate. One thing I don't like about this game is it seems once or twice per world you'll have to save a Toad, and you don't even see him get captured. I mean, you do once at the start of the game, but it's like, why is he getting captured over and over again? It's kind of a useless way to draw out the game, and it doesn't even draw it out that much. It just kind of gets annoying and frustrating, because if you lose lives there, you still lose lives. It isn't like a bonus game or something, so it really feels like a waste of time, and you just feel frustrated having to do it, and I don't really like that. The difficulty in this game gets increasingly hard. Like, it starts really easy, and by the end it's really hard. I hate that they do that to no end, because it's just really annoying. And you get unlimited continues, don't get me wrong, but you're just gonna get countless continues if you're not a great Mario player. And if you're playing with like family and friends, they're gonna be like at like 70 continues by the end of the game, which just seems ridiculous that they would make it so challenging when it's oriented at such a family type game. You can get the occasional power-ups. There are mushrooms which make you grow or shrink, fire flowers which cause you to shoot fire, ice flowers which cause you to shoot ice, the penguin suit which causes you to shoot ice and slide, and finally the propeller mushroom which makes you fly, and of course there's the invincibility mushroom, which is kind of, or invincibility star, which causes you to be invincible for a few seconds, but that's kind of separate. Now on to levels. World 1 is really easy and a lot of fun to play with younger kids. Easy and just sets a tone that completely disagrees with the rest of the game difficulty-wise, which is really disappointing. But anyway, there's a lot of great, vibrant colors in this stage. It's kind of a grassier stage, and has a really happier tone than the rest of the game. Has a lot, like, happier music. Of course, the other music is still happy, but those are more to the tone. This one's just kind of like one of those levels that is kind of just the start. There's no real hazards. There might be a few holes in the ground and enemies, but other than that, there's nothing really that makes it difficult. Also, you have the boss, which isn't that hard. It's just the first boss, so it just pretty much just shoots back and forth on its spins and just does the normal Mario boss thing. World 2 starts to get a little harder than World 1. You'll die once in a while, but if you're careful, you'll pretty much be fine. This one's theme is the desert, which has its downsides like quicksand and other things, but still, it doesn't have very many traps and hazards compared to later levels, and it's a lot easier than the later NES, or the earlier NES levels that are deserts. The boss is the first boss with a special power, and it pops out of certain pipes, which is harder, but still, it's not too bad. Other than that, it's a fairly easy level. World 3 is a snow area. I find this to be a lot easier than World 2, but a lot of these worlds just depend on how quick you can learn to adapt, and the boss in this one is a rub as this dude that jumps on these balls, and it's the hardest boss yet, but it still doesn't offer much of a challenge. By now these levels are starting, at least I think we're starting to get stale, and you felt like you were fighting the same boss over and over again, because you pretty much were, with a different gimmick, and then you kind of realize that you have to do another 5 worlds. So you probably by now, I wanted to take a brief break from the game, but I just wanted to chug on because I had to finish this review. World 4 is an island level, which in my opinion is highly annoying because you have to deal with water, which you can fall in and sink right away, or you have to fall in it and swim past countless fish. You don't really know sometimes, and that kind of annoys. When you're swimming past countless fish, some of them can follow you, some of them just swim by, but a lot of them you just can't touch, or you lose a health or die instantly, which gets really annoying after a time, especially since they're really hard to kill compared to normal enemies like Goomba. But the boss on this one, all he does is shoot these little circle things at you. It's getting boring by now, fighting the same boss over and over with a new gimmick. I know it's what the original game did, but it's like, give me something original. By now, like, for the old games, it's great because, like, that's what they could do back then, and it worked great. But this game, it just feels kind of laziness, and all the levels are starting to feel really similar. I mean, this world is a little less similar than the other ones, but just feels like they're doing the same levels and slapping on a new background. And when you're doing like 60 of these levels before the end of the game, yeah, it gets a little boring to play over and over again. So by now, that's kind of starting to kick in that factor where it's like, I just did this. World 5 is a forest level, and this stage is actually fairly challenging until the first boss encounter is really easy. And the second boss isn't really that hard. Also, I forgot to mention earlier that you have to fight the same boss twice in every stage. You fight him in the middle, and you fight him in the end. The second time he's really hard because you have to fight him while he has a chain chomp, which oftentimes I find myself jumping on him, and then I'd fall back behind him, and then the chain chomp goes after me, and I have nowhere to go. Which was kind of annoying, especially if you were just fighting him, and you just jump on him, so you're pretty much stuck there and you lose if you only have 1 health. But yeah, the chain chomp's fairly hard, but once you get used to the level, or if you have a partner on the boss, it's not that bad. I don't have much to say other than bring a partner to the boss. World 6 is a mountain sky level. This was the hardest world for me and my brother, and probably it's because we were playing on co-op. You'd often jump off each other's heads, and the other one would get shafted and fall down, and it was really hard to do it because the ledges were so small that you'd end up jumping on each other or tripping over each other. It's still not a terribly hard level if you're good at Mario, but it would often get annoying and add up countless deaths, so that's kind of annoying. I'd suggest one of your partners bubbling up, and then you like take turns on levels. If you bubble up by clicking A, as I mentioned earlier, but yeah, it's kind of annoying when you do that. The boss in this level is Bowser Jr. He's kind of easy for the first time you fight him. All you have to do is, I believe, you go in this pod thing, and then you jump on his head, and that's not too hard. So yeah. World 7 is also a sky level, but it's more cloud-oriented this time. I won't talk too much about this level because it's pretty much the same difficulty than World 6. You have small platforms, and it's just kind of hard. The boss of this world is this boss that has 3 moving platforms. It's kind of challenging because you have to jump on the platform while he's on that platform, and just jumping from the highest point. The platforms would go up and down, so sometimes when you were going down, you try and jump, and you'd undershoot the shot, or sometimes you'd be going up, and then you'd overshoot the shot, or something around those lines, which would make you usually get a hit on you, which kind of got annoying. But you'll get it after a try or two, probably. Okay, finally, World 8, the Lava World. This is actually a really interesting world. The first half is actually really hard compared to the later half. Once you fought Comet, it was really hard until you got through the first castle where you fight Comet. She was really easy. She was the first of 3 bosses. And then you beat the last few levels, and then you have to fight Bowser Jr. He was easy once you got down the formula. you're supposed to shoot a bomb back up at him, and at first I didn't really know what I was supposed to do. I thought I was supposed to dodge a big boulder, and it turns out you're supposed to like shoot it back up towards him. That level was actually kind of fun to play, I thought. Finally, you fight Bowser. His first form is really easy. It's actually like the first time you fight him in Super Mario Bros., which is another NES throwback they did, which really shows that they're trying to keep with the original Super Mario Bros. Series. And then you defeat him, and you have to get chased by a Super Bowser. That's pretty easy. All you have to do is get to the end of a course while Bowser chases you and shoots fireballs at you. Then you touch a button, it blows up, and Bowser dies. The credits kind of play as a minigame, which is a lot of fun, because you get to jump around, and you and your partner gets to race for the most amount of coins, or if you're alone, you get to go and get your amount of coins. It's something fun that only Nintendo would do, so that's pretty cool. Similar to the Super Smash Bros. Ending where you get to shoot the letters, or the names, so that's really cool. Once you beat all the worlds, you also get a World 9, but to be honest, I'm too lazy to collect all the star coins and beat them, so you can probably find those somewhere else. There's one minigame, you just collect coins, it's kind of like a mini campaign. You can actually do the first level of Mario Bros, which was on the arcades, so that was pretty cool. This game is very replayable. It's a lot of fun to play in a group, and the earlier levels are a lot of fun to play with kids. In fact, I beat this game on Friday, and Saturday when I went to my cousin's house for Thanksgiving, they actually wanted to play the game with us, so we played it again, me and my brother, for the early levels. So that was kind of fun. I would say safely that I could beat this once or twice a year without getting bored. Of course, when you're playing this, I'd probably do it within like a amount of like 2 weeks time, because otherwise you'll probably start to get bored of the levels, that they start to get bland. It's not a super long game, you could probably beat it in a couple hours. It's just one of those really fun games. I feel really satisfied when I beat it. I don't know why, it's just one of those games that makes you feel really satisfied. It's not like, well, you're done, there you go, end credits. This game has a full story. It doesn't feel like it has to get continued. You know it'll probably get continued in the future, but it feels really satisfying at the end, unlike some games which just kind of end at a note that you don't really like. The NES games are really cool and similar, and this is really similar to them, and it's kind of less of a bitch than those, to be honest. And not to mention, you don't get bored looking at them. I mean, the NES games were really good looking at them, and the scores were really good, but these are nice orchestrated updates with better graphics. And to be honest, I still love the NES ones, and I could stare at the graphics for a long time in the game, but it's a lot more fun to play with little kids than those. All that considered, New Super Mario Bros. Wii is a fun experience for all ages, and that's what earns this game an 8.5 out of 10. Tune in next time for The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.